When we look at Christ's use of the Old Testament, Christ, the head of the church, God's ultimate revelation, when we see his handling and examine his handling of the Old Testament, we find, number one, that Christ affirmed that the Old Testament was divinely inspired. Secondly, we see that Christ affirmed that the Old Testament was historically accurate. Third, Christ affirmed that the Old Testament was uniquely authoritative. Fourth, Christ affirmed that the Old Testament was objectively clear. And then fifth, as I said, this final point, which we will cover in our next session, we'll start off our next session with this fifth point, is that Christ affirmed that the Old Testament was intentionally prophetic.